Imagine standing on a quiet, plane tree-lined street in Toorak or wandering through the coastal elegance of Brighton. You see the grand Victorian manors and the sleek modern architectural wonders that define the city's prestige. To the average observer, the Melbourne property market is defined by the glossy photos on a smartphone screen, the bright "for sale" signs, and the weekend circus of street auctions. But what if I told you that the Melbourne you see on Domain or realestate.com.au is merely the tip of a massive submerged iceberg? Below the surface of public listings lies a shadow economy, a parallel universe of property transactions that never see the light of a public portal. This is the world of the silent list, a place where the most significant deals are made in hushed tones and behind closed doors. In the complex landscape of Victorian real estate law and practice, the silent list isn't a single physical document, but a collection of opportunities hidden from the masses. Two terms dominate this hidden realm: off-market and pre-market. While they may sound like mere industry jargon, they represent two entirely different paths to exclusivity. A pre-market listing is a property destined for the public eye but currently sitting in its golden window. This is the 7 to 14-day period where the home is being professionally photographed, staged, and prepared for its digital debut. During this brief interval, the gatekeepers, the elite listing agents, quietly whisper the details to a curated group of vetted buyers before the rest of the world even knows the home is available. An off-market listing, however, is the ultimate prize. These are properties whose owners have no intention of ever putting up a sign or hosting a public open house. These homes are traded in total secrecy, moving from one hand to another through private phone calls, discreet inspections, and silent negotiations. The statistical reality of this is startling. In the prestigious corridors of Melbourne's inner east and the affluent Bayside suburbs, a staggering percentage of high-end transactions occurs entirely away from the public gaze. In exclusive pockets of the Golden Triangle and elite school zones, it is estimated that nearly 1 in every 3 premium homes changes hands without a single advertisement ever hitting the internet. While the average homebuyer is glued to their apps, refreshing the feed every hour with a sense of mounting anxiety, the elite are transacting behind closed doors. This creates a profound illusion of choice. You might think you have the entire market at your fingertips, but in reality, the public market is often where the leftovers are fought over. The most pristine, unique, and fairly priced assets are often snatched up before a single for sale board is hammered into the lawn. This is the primary reason why many buyers feel a sense of perpetual frustration. They are competing in a game where the best cards have already been dealt to someone else. This public exposure comes at a high cost, not just emotionally, but strategically. For many sellers in suburbs like Hawthorn, Kew, or Brighton, discretion is more valuable than the high-octane spectacle of a traditional Melbourne auction. High-profile Melburnians, ranging from corporate CEOs to well-known celebrities, value their privacy above all else. They have no desire to see hundreds of strangers walking through their private sanctuaries, touching their finishes, and critiquing their lifestyle during a Saturday morning open for inspection. For these discreet sellers, the traditional high-energy auction, a personification of auction fever, is a stressful nightmare to be avoided at all costs. By learning to access the silent list, you effectively step out of that arena of public competition. You eliminate the frantic energy of the street auction and the psychological manipulation of a crowded bidding war that drives prices to irrational record highs. Instead, you gain the luxury of time and the power of calm, direct negotiation. Our journey over the next 2 chapters will reveal the specific mechanisms, the networking strategies, and the digital backdoors used to gain entry into these exclusive databases. To master this hidden market, you must first understand the gatekeepers, the top-tier listing agents who guard their internal CRM systems like state secrets, and the specialized buyers advocates who hold the master keys. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. These professionals move through Melbourne's most beautiful streets with knowledge that the general public simply does not possess, and it is finally time you joined their ranks to secure your future. The evolution of Melbourne's real estate culture was once synonymous with the loud, public spectacle of the street auction, a tradition that turned property buying into a high-drama performance. Yet, over the last few decades, the market has matured into a more stratified system where the most desirable assets are traded with professional discretion. This shift wasn't accidental. It was a necessary response to a city that grew both in wealth and in its desire for privacy. The public auction serves as a stage for the emotional bidding wars we personify as auction fever, but for the true power players in the inner east and Bayside corridors, this public display has become secondary to a more private, controlled environment. This cultural shift ensures that the most pristine Victorian manors and contemporary masterpieces are often spoken for before a single member of the general public can even view the floor plan. The mechanics of a secret sale are precise and calculated, beginning long before a property is ever mentioned in a corporate boardroom. When a pocket listing is born, it starts with a quiet valuation and a strategic conversation between the gatekeeper and the discreet seller. Instead of a massive, expensive marketing campaign involving street billboards and glossy magazine brochures, the listing agent reaches for their private network. They begin making a series of targeted phone calls to a curated, vetted list of individuals and specialized buyers advocates. This process is a deliberate exercise in matching a high-value asset with a high-intent buyer without the noise and unpredictability of the open market. It ensures that the transaction remains as seamless as it is silent, bypassing the stress of a public campaign entirely. From the listing agent's perspective, the psychology of the silent list is incredibly compelling. Managing a public auction involves significant marketing overhead and the constant looming threat of a property being passed in. In the high-stakes competitive landscape of suburbs like Toorak or Hawthorn, a property that fails to sell under the hammer is often viewed as tainted, leading to a loss of momentum and a perceived drop in value. By utilizing the silent list, agents avoid this public failure entirely. It allows them to maintain an aura of exclusivity and prestige around their personal brand, demonstrating to potential sellers that they possess the deep connections required to move multi-million-dollar properties without ever needing to plant a sign in the front yard. Within this hidden ecosystem exists the pre-market window, a 7 to 14-day golden interval that is arguably the most productive time for any savvy buyer. This is the period when a property is being physically prepared for its eventual public launch. While the professional painters are finishing the trim and the stylists are moving furniture into the living spaces, the home is technically off market. During these 2 crucial weeks, the gatekeeper is quietly testing the waters with their inner circle. If you are not part of that initial conversation, you are essentially waiting for the crumbs of a deal that has already been half-eaten by those who had early access to the information. In this window, the most motivated buyers secure their future while the rest of the market is still waiting for the alert to pop up on their phones. Privacy is the ultimate currency for the Melbourne elite, and it is the primary driver for the discreet seller. High-profile residents, ranging from corporate CEOs in Brighton to celebrities living within the Golden Triangle, find the prospect of an open for inspection deeply intrusive. They refuse to let hundreds of curious strangers wander through their private suites, touch their finishes, or critique their personal belongings on a Saturday morning. This fundamental need for anonymity drives a massive volume of high-end transactions into the shadows. In elite school zones, where families are desperate to secure a foothold for their children's education, this discretion is even more pronounced. The demand for these specific locations is so high that the seller often does not need to go public to find a buyer willing to pay a significant premium for the right address. Geographically, this silent market is most concentrated in specific high-demand postcodes that define Melbourne's wealth. Whether it is the tree-lined avenues of the inner east or the coastal stretches of Bayside, these areas operate under a different set of rules. This hidden volume creates a significant data gap in our common understanding of the market. Traditional reporting and weekly clearance rates are frequently skewed because they fail to capture the massive scale of these private silent dealings. While the news focuses on the median price of properties sold at auction, the most architecturally significant and expensive homes are moving through CRM systems and private agency apps. The transition from the old-fashioned little black book of the 90s to modern digital databases has only accelerated this trend. To navigate this landscape successfully, you must understand that the most valuable information is rarely found in a public search bar. It is found in the professional trust between those who hold the keys to the invisible city. To cross the threshold from a casual observer to a true insider, you must master the relationship protocol. It is no longer enough to wander through an open home and leave a phone number on a tablet. To the gatekeeper, you must be more than a data point. You must be recognized as a qualified buyer whose intent is as sharp as your finances. This involves approaching listing agents with a professional brief that outlines your budget, your preferred school zones, and your timeline. When you speak their language, you cease to be a name lost in a database. Instead, you become the priority call when a discreet seller decides to test the waters. You are no longer fighting auction fever. you are moving into a sphere where your vetted status grants you access to the city's most guarded secrets. The most direct shortcut to the heart of the silent market is through the professional. Hiring a buyer's advocate is an acquisition of established power. These veterans hold the master keys to 80% of off-market opportunities throughout the inner east and bayside corridors. Because they maintain daily rapport with every significant listing agent, they are often the only ones notified when a premier estate is about to change hands. By partnering with an advocate, you leverage decades of trust that no amount of personal scrolling could replicate. They transform the silent list into a curated menu of possibilities, ensuring you are the first through the entrance before the public knows the door is even unlocked. In parallel, a new layer of the market has emerged through niche digital platforms and exclusive portals tailored for Victoria. These are not the high-traffic websites that dominate search engines. They are restricted environments where agencies upload pre-market details for a verified audience. Navigating these digital shadows requires persistence, but the reward is a filtered view of the market where the competition is thin and the quality of properties is significantly higher. For the truly ambitious, the unsolicited offer strategy allows you to identify target properties that aren't even officially for sale. By using a professional intermediary to approach the owner of a specific home in Toorak or Brighton, you can trigger a conversation that bypasses the market entirely. Many high-profile owners would move for the right price, but have no desire for a public campaign. A private inquiry can unlock a property that was never meant for the masses, creating a deal born of timing and discretion. Similarly, there is a profound art in identifying stale listings, properties that vanished from the public eye after a failed auction. While others assume these homes are unavailable, the savvy buyer recognizes them as golden opportunities. These owners, having felt the public sting of a property being passed in, are often motivated to settle matters privately, shifting the power dynamic in your favor. We must also reflect on the ethics of this system. The rise of the silent market raises questions about fairness and housing affordability in Melbourne. When the best assets are traded in the shadows, the transparency that once defined the Victorian market begins to fade. It creates a divided reality where those with the right connections move in a different world than the average family. Yet, the market continues to evolve, demanding absolute financial preparation. There is no room for hesitation. You must have your pre-approval secured and your legal experts ready to act without the safety net of a public timeline. When we look at the big picture, Melbourne real estate is shifting from a battle of wealth to a strategic game of information. The silent list is the manifestation of this new era. By moving your focus away from public portals and toward human relationships, you transition from a spectator to a highly informed principal player. It is time to stop refreshing the screen and start building the bridge to the invisible Melbourne, where the city's true legacy is bought and sold in the quiet moments between the daily news headlines.